Is the AI tool taking away your opportunity to bond and establish a solid relationship with a candidate? If it is not the right tool for you as a recruiter. If it's not, if it's helping you focus and really engage and be present with a candidate like an AI note taker as opposed to an AI chatbot, then you are on the right track. And that's probably a really good way of evaluating, is it helping you? Is it holding you back?
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenly, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today we've got a great Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I just want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday like today for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Some days we open up for Q&A, and occasionally you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. And as a reminder, if you do like the content that we're sharing here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. All right, today's Tactical Tuesday. It's no surprise, AI is here to stay, right? Just zero doubt about that. So let's rewind back to late summer, early fall of last year, and it felt like we were just scraping the surface of what was possible with AI, especially when Vivien should be joining us to talk about different ChatGPT use cases as a recruiter. So fast forward to today, and it seems like there's honestly an AI tool for everything. But that begs the question, just because AI can be used for something, should it be? From sourcing to outreach to screening to interviewing and so much more, today we're going to get into when and where these really are most impactful. And since it wouldn't be a Tactical Tuesday covering AI if Vivien wasn't here for it, we've got your favorite Tactical Tuesday co-host, Vivien, joining us. Vivien, hey.
Thanks for having me again. Let's dive into it.
Oh yeah, so a little bit more advanced than some of our early AI episodes. Now that it's come around to just like, what can you use ChatGPT for? Now it's like every product seemingly has AI, ChatGPT, something configured into it. But that begs the question, like, should it? Should we as recruiters be using it? So you posed this to me after you heard some rumblings in the space for recruiters asking about, different functionality with AI and everything else. So do you want to give us a little bit of a background first from where this came from?
Yeah, so this came from someone asking, is it a good idea to use like a little chatbot to talk with candidates and answer some of their like basic questions about the job? And you and I, we actually had a little bit of like a back and forth about this where we were evaluating what are the pros and cons of this. And it got both of us thinking about what's actually a beneficial tool where AI can be leveraged and what's actually hindering the recruiter from being able to do their job really well. So as recruiters, your main kind of job is to build really solid relationships and leverage those relationships for placements and to be like a strategic partner to the clients that you have by placing the right candidates there that ultimately make huge decisions on behalf of the business that change the game for businesses, sometimes for good, sometimes not so good. And part of this is also you have to have a solid relationship with the candidate so that they're comfortable telling you some potential concerns that they have before it's too far gone in the process, because obviously that's a bummer for you as a recruiter. You might have to potentially start over, but this can also kind of impact your relationship with your client of like, how did you not see this coming? You didn't know this, you didn't see this, you weren't able to give us a heads up. So all around, it's just not that good of an experience. And the only way to prevent it is to have a solid relationship. So in this case, having a chatbot and start building that relationship is not really good. Plus, everybody show of hands, who likes talking to a chatbot? I hear crickets.
Hard pass. Yeah.
So why would you want your candidates to have that experience with you, which is essentially an extension of the experience they're going to have with your client? You don't want that. So don't use AI tools for that. There are better ways to use AI.
And to the point of what prompted this, like, use a chatbot to answer common questions. This leads to the question, why wouldn't you have this information on the JD in the beginning or what you might be sending out to them? Obviously there's going to be some very specific later stage questions that are coming up, but if you're finding a lot of questions, one, that's also prompt to you, hey, maybe we should proactively get ahead of this, especially, or if it's like you're sourcing these candidates, hey, here's common questions that we get about this role because you're not actively looking right now. Here's what our mission is. Here's what the salary is. Here's what the benefits package is. get ahead of some of that and include it in that part of the conversation versus, giving them the really short JD that's not that compelling and then saying, oh, you have questions? Here's a chatbot. That'll answer it for you. It's like, are you trying to not convince them to come and take this position?
I mean, to be fair, I would say a lot of questions do get answered by the job description. Not every candidate reads it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because this is a good starting ground to figure out, okay, why is this candidate asking this particular question? If they're asking about what are the benefits, that means benefits are important to them. Why are the benefits so important to them? Maybe they don't have really good benefits right now, and this is part of the motivators why they're actually asking you and wanting to engage with you. And this is something that should be standing out to you as a recruiter so that you can note it down or like file it away as a mental note so that when it is kind of like that tricky time, especially during negotiations or the interview rounds are getting a little bit too complicated, but this genuinely is a good fit, you need some kind of thing to kind of fall back on and say, hey, when we started this whole thing, which you knew wasn't going to be easy, one of the reasons why you wanted to make a switch is because this company has really amazing benefits and this is something that is very important to you. Your current company doesn't have this. And so it's not a bad thing when candidates are asking you questions that are answered by the job description because it's almost like the candidate's bid for a connection with you as a recruiter to build trust and see what's your answer going to be compared to the job description? What else can you tell me to then figure out, can I actually trust this person? Do I want to move forward with this? Because working with a recruiter is very daunting. It is very scary to make that leap of faith to change jobs. You want to make this as comfortable as possible for candidates, and it's never going to be super comfy. You're never going to be sitting on cloud nine as a candidate, but you want to make this as comfortable as possible for the candidate by giving them all the information that they need to being, for lack of a better way of saying it, you want to be a safe space for them so that they can ask all the dumb questions, because the dumb questions, those are actually behind those dumb questions is what is super important to them. And as a recruiter, you want to pick up on that and you want to actually make sure that you're building trust with these dumb questions that a chatbot could technically answer.
Yeah, that's so true. The context that comes with it and understanding why are they asking is because it's important to them, because it's something that you can hold later on. Passing that off to AI is missing that critical information for you, like you said. So it's such a, I think, underrated or maybe just like not thought of repercussion of what would happen if you went that route. So I'm so glad you pulled that out. All right. I know I took us down a rabbit hole on that one part, but we're going to talk about different stages of the recruitment process where AI makes sense, where AI, maybe it might not make so much sense, or we're not quite there yet. So let's start a rundown.
Let's do it. So in sourcing, shout out to Loxo for this one. Loxo has AI that will take a look at the job parameters and it will rank what it thinks is the best match, and it will put them at the very top of your search results, and it will start kind of like going down. So that way you have the more relevant search results right up top. That's a great idea of leveraging AI because it makes you more efficient in the things that are typically a very administrative time suck of like figuring out all the different Booleans. If AI can help you save time with creating Booleans and just shows you the right candidates, that's amazing. Now, there are some initiatives that are basically saying, here, just plug in all of this stuff into the AI bot, and the AI bot is just going to select the people that have all of this. You don't want the AI bot to be selecting this because you do want to take a look at, does this candidate actually make sense? Are we on the right track? You kind of want to double check like their work, because AI is not you. It is artificial intelligence, not human intelligence. Human intelligence is still better. And so you want to double check that, and you want to kind of see, who am I reaching out to? Who are you particularly excited about? Maybe you want to send them a more personalized message, or is it like, yep, this works, let's just put them into like the generalized sequence.
Mm-hmm. And with, not to go back to Lux, I mean, we do this, other platforms I'm sure are going to be doing this before long too, but that ranking, so to speak, of the people where it's, I used to joke about this all the time. It's like, you're going to hope that, the best candidate might be on page 45 out of 95 options or something, instead of, why wouldn't you want that person to show up at number 1 and then the second best person at number 2? So having that, and even further, we've added some different things where it's like openness, like based on their career trajectory, different timings, these people are more likely to be open to this conversation right now. And that's a completely different subset from the very best fit. They may have just started and they might not be there. So there's different elements to how you can use AI as part of sourcing. And then to our in-house friends, I will say also, you can do this with inbound applicants. We all are seeing what happens with Easy Apply. You're getting lots of applicants, but don't get me wrong, 90% of them are probably just like not even remotely relevant. And so AI is helping too. We have this exact same thing where it ranks your inbound applicants for you. So again, you're not wading through that pool, because I know that's a lot of in-house teams' fear right now. It's just like, well, we posted the job and we got a lot of applicants, but now we have to go through this massive pool to try to find the couple qualified people in there.
And that's such a time-consuming thing that you'd be so much better off quickly like reviewing them and really focusing on spending the time building the relationship a little bit later down the line after you have already engaged with them. So the whole benefit of AI for recruiters specifically is to take away their administrative tasks. So kind of like going back to the AI chatbot example, it would make you more efficient, but it's efficiency in a way that is actually sacrificing something that is very critical to the recruitment part. And so instead of having an AI chatbot answer these questions, get a note taker to join your call and summarize all of those points, and then just like plug it into your ATS and call it a day. That way you don't have to focus on taking notes. That makes you a little bit distracted. You're not quite as present, and it's just because that's what you need to do as you're taking notes. And that way you can actually sit back, take a deep breath, and you can have that conversation because the note taker is going to take care of everything. And maybe the call is even getting recorded, and that way you can always refer back to it and revisit it. But that is a much better kind of like AI related tool than a chatbot answering on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that one. Okay, what are some other stages?
The next one, and we're jumping a little bit like back and forth, but that was the one for engaging and screening candidates. But specifically for engaging and contacting them, you actually want to use AI to come up with something that is really great. Not everybody is a perfect writer. And essentially what you're doing with any kind of engagement or outreach is you are marketing and you're a salesperson at that point. You're trying to sell that job, and you're basically doing cold outbound outreach to get those inbound leads your way and to get some interest. And most recruiters, they don't have like marketing experience and have gone through like the degree to get it, or to know how to write in a way like copywriting is done to like really attract and have that right call to action. You can leverage AI for that. You can leverage Outreach GPT within the job that Loxo has, or you can just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, here's the job description. I want you to use copywriting principles to get these candidates' attention. The goal is for them to respond back to me. I want to talk to them about what job they want, even if they don't want this one. I just want to hear back from everybody. Work your magic. ChatGPT will work its magic and take it from there. And let's see. Next up, we got submitting candidates over. What you can do and should do is have AI kind of create like a write-up just to save you a little bit of time. That's going to make you more efficient. It's going to free up your time so that you can actually talk to more people as opposed to spending time writing things up. And there's also some tools that help you really make a really pretty presentation to make it very presentful and fancy, so that when you're sending it over to the hiring manager, it looks very put together and all of that fun stuff. And interview stage, probably one of my favorite ones, and we can actually refer back to a previous episode on that one. And it's still do the interview prep call. You want to talk to them, you want to answer all of their questions, but you can actually create a little chatbot for interview practicing. But you still need to actually talk to them. If you're not talking to them right before the interview, you cannot help coach them with some things. You don't know what are some of their concerns. Are they nervous? Are they excited? Have they done their research? You still want to talk to them. But after you've talked to them, send them over the chatbot to help them prep for the interview a little bit, and use that as like a little like role play type thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the most underutilized use cases I see in AI. I mean, we see it with sales, be a late majority person that I have to convince why Loxo is the best talent intelligence platform ever, just using it as an excuse. What are the objections you're going to come up with? What are the things that are important to you? And role play with that. You can do the same exact thing with recruitment. Say, here's the job description. Here's the person I'm going to be recruiting with. Here's their LinkedIn profile. Here's their website. Anything else they have. Act as if you are them. What are 10 questions that I might anticipate that you're going to ask me relevant to your experience, your position in the company, the role that this person's that I'm going to be responsible for, anything else, and go through that. Like, that gets you out of the people are like, well, I'm going to prepare for this interview. I have to know my strengths, my weaknesses, like the really awkward questions. Like those don't care. This lets you go so many levels deeper to get into that mindset that, again, such an underrated use case for it that comes up with really good questions. Also good things for you to think about proactively as a candidate coming into it, or the recruiter, hey, you go do the role play for them and share those questions. So there's really not much downside to that use case.
Very true. And ChatGPT can give you feedback of like, this is how you can sound a little bit more polished. This is what you can do to get a little bit more clarity, get to the point, or you can actually like rephrase this a little bit differently. It can give you some pointers and guidance on how to phrase and talk about difficult things. Like maybe you've had an employment gap. How can I best explain this? ChatGPT will help you with all of that. And whenever candidates have a chance to practice and run through those things once or twice, they feel much more comfortable going into the interview because then they don't have to wing it on the spot. They've actually had a chance to rehearse. They've had a chance to rehearse this. They had a chance to get some feedback, practice this, and maybe even get like some advice on how to phrase it a little bit better while still maintaining their own voice. So it's not like ChatGPT is going to give you a robotic answer that you have to memorize, but it can give you feedback of like, you did this really well, but it might sound better if you flip this like that and or add this, like what did you get out of that? Why does it make you really good for this particular role? There's so many different ways that ChatGPT can help you. And when we started the ChatGPT series over a year ago, ChatGPT only had like the writing feature. Nowadays, you can have like a talking conversation with ChatGPT. You can talk to it. It will talk back to you. You can totally leverage that. You can ask ChatGPT to count your ums and likes and filler words to point that out to you, and other different fun things that can really help you prep for the interview.
Now I'm thinking about how many times I've said during this conversation. Thanks, Viv. I almost just caught myself there. All right, cool. So we've hit on all the stages. We've hit on different use cases, primarily the good, the bad. Anything else before we wrap this one?
I would say the rule of thumb is the AI tool taking away your opportunity to bond and establish a solid relationship with a candidate? If it is not the right tool for you as a recruiter. If it's not, if it's helping you focus and really engage and be present with a candidate like an AI note taker as opposed to an AI chatbot, then you are on the right track. And that's probably a really good way of evaluating. Is it helping you? Is it holding you back? And that's about it.
Chef's kiss. Beautiful. Well, thank you as always for joining. I get to learn so much from you all the time when we have these conversations. I know listeners are as well. So as we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you like this episode, but you're not sure where to go next, we have a link to a similar one. You can find that in the show notes in the description of your favorite podcast streaming platform, as well as on our website. We do have full video episodes available on YouTube. And if you ever have questions, send them to us, podcast@loxo.co. And lastly, if you did enjoy this episode, please make sure to leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It only takes 3 seconds, but it's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. All right, everyone, that's the show. That was a great Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. Till next time, bye, y'all.